a place of like pause and thoughtfulness, even before entering the camp, is the who we are as as people, as guests of indigenous folks, of Ochati Shakoi people, of a group of folks that have been struggling since April for a pipeline to be stopped. So what does it mean to go in with a decolonial perspective? What does it mean to replenish as much as you're taking, as much as you can prepare for a North Dakota winter? You know, you're outside the entire time doing work and doing and being a part of meetings. And so I think it was definitely difficult as someone from California and not with like that history. And so constantly I was thinking over and over again, how can I be of service? How can I be of service? I'm on Indigenous land. How can I be of service? And I think that that needs to happen kind of all the time versus just like when I'm very clearly and blatantly a part of an Indigenous struggle. I think wherever we are, Indigenous struggle exists because of the colonial relationship that this country has to Indigenous communities, and the erasure of Indigenous communities. So like we might not be in constant communication in community with Indigenous folks where we live right now, but that they're here and their struggles continue over here as well. And like how a lot of people have said, how can we engage where we are and go when we are called to go to struggles far from where we are. Yeah, there was something in the like rest period of the police and military repression that happened on Sunday. And before like the vets came and like before the easement happened was like these decolonizing processes, these conversations. And I think that was coming from, you know, Thanksgiving and lots of people coming in and like trash being spewed. Maybe not as much as maybe like a concert, but like definitely like the vibe was different, right? And like, you know, we had just come, and so this is just like based off of what people had talked to us about and the conversations that we got to be a part of, was that like, you know, some people came in and took whatever they needed to take to get that experience, to get that learning. And a lot of these decolonial discussions were about like, if you're coming here to just learn, like, that's where your privilege is. Like your privilege is that like you get to be so removed that this is like a learning experience for you. And it's not around like, it's not deeply around like service and like how to make this camp stronger, how to be really in deep solidarity with the needs of Indigenous communities that have been there. So yeah, that was the constant reminders of decolonization and how like far we are from it, to be really real, like that people can come into like a decolonizing struggle essentially, right? That Indigenous sovereignty is being demanded, and people can come into this struggle as non-Indigenous people and not have any framework about colonization, not have any historical frameworks whatsoever, and can use the language of universality as a way to disregard the really different experiences that folks of color, indigenous folks, folks that live in the margins constantly experience. So that was a lot of labor, and how much labor that indigenous folks have to carry, just like they have to carry the labor of like having direct but compassionate confrontations with like non-native folks coming in, just wanting to like take and not replenish, wanting to like ask questions about like what is privilege, or oh well, you know, we're all the same. Well, you should have done your homework before you came to an indigenous struggle. And so like they have to like do that labor, and then the labor of like the elders, like the native elders, having different tactics than like maybe indigenous youth, and like that sort of kind of labor that's always happening. And then obviously like the state struggle, the confrontation between the state and that constant fear and labor that indigenous folks over there have to deal with. And that's just so many layers, and how much can folks hold. And I think keeping that in mind always is will humble you, and also will compel us to keep doing as much as we can to stop pipelines, but also to be in alignment with indigenous communities. Yeah.